absolutely slapped 2 versus 4 from 3 versus 5, constantly bringing rounds their way. You'd argue they shouldn't have won, and no one is ever going to forget that Kayak clutch in one of his first games playing for the team. They had a 1 versus 4 clutch on the Echo. Unbelievable to win the game for them. So I'm hoping that Virtus.pro have A, got a bit more luck on their side, and 2, have done some looking back at that game and gone, right, guys, we know where the communication fell apart here. We can fix it this time, and we're back for revenge.
The thing is, we've got to not just look, obviously it is a very relevant matchup, is the Virtus.pro and Consulate, but let's not forget that G2 played Consulate in their first game of Stage 1. Exactly the same as they are doing now against Virtus.pro, except it was against Team Secret. They had a great start, but they threw it away, Des. They succumbed to 1v2 clutches, both from Draven and Sleben during that game, and the wheels really came off partway through it. And so I think, that's something that they need to show us here with these roster changes, is that maybe they can just improve that consistency as well, because Consulate was a bit of a mixed bag for them.
I was really impressed by G2's attacks in that game against Secret. I remember it quite well, and as soon as
it was really good on attack.
They were, yeah, and as soon as the side switched, it was all a Secret game from there on out. Let's see, though, what the bans are raining through here. The Thatcher, go to typical ban on a lot of maps. The Nomad coming out to make it a little bit more dicey for those jump outs, for example. You're not going to have the cover coming through from those, so expect to see things stepping in that have got a Claymore, for example, to help provide some coverage. The Valkyrie, as we all know, we love getting those cams outside on this map, so removing that one away. And the Wamai going to be the final one, probably here looking, I think, to shut down something like a Yellow Stairs hole with a Jaeger and a Wamai setup.
We'll be heading into round number 1 then. Virtus.pro versus G2, both looking to get Stage 2 off to a start with a bang and a victory and a full 3 points. But there's going to be a lot of trials and tribulations before they can get there. We know how close games between these two can be. We're going to be heading to lobby and press room to get things underway. Nothing drastically unusual on the picks there. We've got the Mozzie, we've got the mute combo. That's mostly going to be used towards the top floor, I would imagine. They're going to try to keep hold of top floor and not allow possession, particularly of admin and meeting, to go over to Virtus.pro on the attack, because of course they're going to want to get that vertical pressure to allow for a plant. We saw it. We've already seen Consulate today, Des, and we saw how important that vertical pressure can be and how easily denials can come in on plant attempts.
Absolutely, and for this game, being completely honest, the focus is going to be on these new players, I think. You're looking towards Yonka currently playing on that Maestro, Hungry playing on the Jaeger, and of course on the other side, Andreezy playing on the Sledge. Quite an involved role there, destroying floorings, getting grenades flying into key locations. Very keen to see how they develop as the game goes by. Kayak was the new player on the block last time around when we talked about G2 versus Virtus.pro. It's almost interesting how across the space of the stage so much can change that the focus almost entirely moves. But let's see as things kick off here. Not remembering, of course, the game that we had earlier on today, where there was a massive focus in admin. It was an absolute war zone in there in the first game of the day. Kavana not quite able to break open the hole that was coming through from Vitality.
No, they weren't, but as you say, there was a lot of blood spilt over trying to do so now. Citizen, he's going to drop back to the basement floor, but he's being chased by Pasha, but he doesn't mind. He says, chase me some more, and hits him with a headshot, taking out a nice opener for G2 there. Might just, again, steady those nerves a little bit. New team coming in. Obviously, you don't know exactly what to expect, but once that first kill reigns in, it's all down to business from there on in, Des. These players have played thousands of hours in this game, and it won't take more than that first kill to just level things off and focus them in.
It's always the pain when it's the Jackal going on the Roma hunt, and it's the Roma that finds you instead. In that case, it's Citizen that you're chasing after. Isn't really one to miss too many shots in a game, so always going to be paying the price for that one unless you're trying to get a pinch on the go, for example. They know that he's still lurking upstairs here as well. In fact, a couple of the members are. Understandably, for this site, you do want to be holding inside of meeting and inside of console. Being able to challenge onto the downstairs should a plant attempt come through is a big part of this defense. So as the attackers, naturally, you want to break that open first, force the players to drop orders, kill them. That also works absolutely fine. And then you have the run-of-the-mill on the top floor. You can provide your own vertical cover, get a plant in underneath that cover, and hopefully that should be the round secured from there. But here, 4 versus 4, 90 seconds still to play.
Citizen now looking to move up the round staircase, just looking to get to the top of Spiral and make a challenge on towards Andreezy on the sledge. Doesn't want him doing too much work with that hammer opening up those vertical angles, but just conscious there could be a push in and around meeting as well. We've got 3 G2 players up on the top floor right now, but they're not really preventing any of this vertical reconstruction going on from Virtus.pro yet. They are largely being left alone to operate at will inside of admin, but of course it's not vertically above the site, so not necessarily the end of the world, so long as G2 aren't too keen on playing inside of visas, which for the time being, it doesn't look as though they are. They find it much more important to hold these angles and keep them out of meeting. Andreezy, absolutely no idea that Citizen was at the top of Spiral there and runs headlong into the Mozzie, being shut down summarily, and off Citizen goes over the rail and away to fight another day.
They've got this triangular setup here with someone playing at the top of Spiral, one playing at front desk, and one playing inside of console itself, looking through connector, which just means it's really hard for Virtus.pro to get the control they need on the top floor for this full cover. That means that G2 can't play the vertical angles though, so it's kind of a stalemate, but then you've got to worry about the player in anti playing below, and it's Kayak, hits one, can't get the second, will convert it in the end with a little bit of assistance, but it's Milan all by himself. Virtus.pro being stalled out on the top floor. They're going to see the clock elapse as Hungry collects the final kill. Round number 1 going the way of G2's quite convincingly.
It wasn't quite from Piano Des, but Kayak popping out there and getting a double into lobby. I just looked at that and thought, where have I seen this before? I'm sure I've seen this somewhere before.
Only this time round, there's no diffuser going down, there's no echo in play. A couple of changed things compared to the last round of the last time these two teams played on this map. But again, I'll refer back to what I was talking about, that 3-person hold on the top floor that wasn't really ever receiving any pressure. There was no one attacking from console window. There was no one on connector, no one coming up white stairs, no one pushing bathroom. It was very predictable for the side of G2 is how I'd describe it. Virtus.pro all coming across from admin, and all G2 had to do is say, well, if you haven't got meeting, you can't provide the vertical cover. We know we've still got a guy on the downstairs who can very freely sit inside of Anti, because even he's not being pressured on any window or any angle. They made it a bit too easy for G2. So this round, I do want to see Virtus.pro step upon that pressure a little bit. If you're going to go and start clearing the top floor downwards, let's get those drones in, because that was what cost them on Spiral, for example, and really start making G2 feel the heat. Otherwise, it's looking a bit too easy breezy for the side of G2.
The drone in is a great point you make, Des, because that felt to me like Virtus.pro got control of admin and thought the round was over. That's it. We've, round 1. We've got admin. We're just opening up the verticals. That's all we wanted. When there's so much more work to be done from there. It's a great first step. Of course it is. But you got to build from there. But because the reason that I say it felt like it was almost round over for them was because the concentration went. Like you say, there was no drone in as for Andreezy to move forward. There was just, no real information gathering going on there in that late stage, and it really cost them. So hopefully that's something that Virtus.pro recognise and put right quickly, because otherwise they are going to keep playing into players like Citizen. He's mobile, he's on Mozzie. We've seen him do this time and time again on this map, on other maps, with this operator, and he'll keep punish them if he gets any chance at all. There you go.
Without the Nomad, of course it's going to do this. They only had the one Claymore in the last round. It's the same in this round. I don't know actually if Rask had any, but I know Milan definitely had one in the previous round, and it being not even being set down goes to show that things like this can really pay off for you. What I will give them that last round, by the way, the Mute and the Mozzie as a pairing, is going to deny a lot of those drones. So that's one thing to be aware of. It's also biting back in this round. We saw a couple of those Mute jammers being placed down around walls inside of bathrooms. So for the side of G2, wanting to hold on the ground floor just to impede Virtus.pro, not give them comfortable control inside a piano, knowing that a C4 can come sailing over the wall is going to be one thing they'll have to keep in the back of their minds. Milan now looking to threaten down in yellow, getting a little tickle from Yonka on the inside. Not enough again to put him down or in any danger. However, 20 HP has been taken away in this instance. For Virtus.pro now, it's going to be this game of adaptation. We need this guy out of bathroom. We need to start thinking about the vertical control. We need to get the garage wall open. A lot of things to do, but the problem is without your thermite, guess what? That wall is not being opened up, so now they're a little bit stuck, Ace. Where do you go from here? The answer is probably not very far, because Citizen, he's like a kid that's running around behind you in the darkness, poking in the back and then running away, giggling to himself. That's 2 kills that he's found in that manner this round.
Where do you go? You go right into the gun barrel of the Mozzie, and then Pasha, he gets downed while trying to find the man in bathroom. Virtue, if he steps out here, will get the kill. There is a Toxic Babe canister there, just doesn't seem to be quite finishing the man off, but Yonka will do the job with the Nitro. Citizen with a 3rd on the round, great for him. Doesn't matter that Korjak has shut him down, but that is a big double there. 56 seconds left to go. Time is on his side, but health is not. And to about 5 or 6 HP and a lot of work to do here for the Buck. Tries to open up the verticals, will find one, but doesn't manage to get any shots to land. Those steel joists just making it impossible for the bullets to find their way through. Karjeka takes a breather on the stage. He can't be hit with any nitros from there. The explosives will not penetrate that surface. So he needs to find kills before heading downstairs, but that time is ticking by now, Des.
And look at this from G2. They said, right, 2 of us have had a go. We both failed. Best plan? Just pull back and play defensive. Just let him come to us. We know that the diffuser is down in this case. We know that he is all by himself with no time left, no HP in a 1 versus 3. It's going to tick away and G2 will be taking round number 2. Ace, they've really got to keep a closer eye on Citizen because he's having an absolute field day here on Consulate.
Well, he's looking dangerous, that's the problem, and as soon as his confidence gets up, he's just going to keep doing what he's doing, and that's going on the Mose and just running around the map. Consulate is a thin map, but it's also a very mobile map. There's plenty of staircase options, there's plenty of hatches to drop, there's plenty of ways to rotate and to flank your opponents, and that is what Citizen will keep doing if given half of an opportunity. His game sense is off the charts. He will pop up behind you, he'll pop up from the flank, he'll hit you from the last place you expect it if you don't close him down. And even when you do, you gotta go en masse. If you go 1-for-1 with him, there's a good chance he wins the gunfight. It needs 2 or 3 dedicating early round to finding him, shutting him down and killing him.
Playing on the split site here as well. Very intrigued to see where those layers of gates get put down from Citizen now that's being brought along. Otherwise, you're looking towards the C4 denials coming out of the mirror, out of the pulse, and out of the mute. So, a good few options for denial from below from there, but what's the work going to be inside of the site itself? Right now, reinforcements, mute jammers going down, no doubt a rotation coming in towards the stairs heading down below. And aside from that, a couple may be looking to play upstairs. The mirror window up here suggests just as much. So rather than just going for a vertical denial from below, G2 here want the top floor control and the basement control to be able to threaten onto that ground floor, giving Virtus.pro 2 things to worry about rather than just the 1.
Absolutely, they're going to front up to a potential admin push here, but they need to be very careful because, of course, there is the option of gaining top floor control by going from the yellow stairs and console office side.
Is it? I think it is. He's got it out. Yeah, it's a blue mirror. Mate, I remember when I first started playing the game, this is what I got used to seeing. Ye old days.
The thing is, these things come back around us. They're never gone. You know, a good idea in Siege might not be a good idea forever, but it also doesn't mean that it will disappear. And we are seeing it brought out once again. Now, Virtue on the Jaeger, he's going to be playing that top floor mirror just in the little sort of side room offside of Copy there, just holding on to admin for the time being. And right now, Virtus.pro, they are going to play right into the G2 defense here. This will not be easy for them. They don't seem to be taking any alternative routes to try and sort of move around the back of them yet. Citizen very aware of the potential for one coming from balcony. He's just going to try to fight off that drone. Misses his shots there. I think the drone didn't quite give him too much of a glimpse. It didn't jump inside the map. It was just outside of the window. So we'll forgive him that one now. Pasha just holding an angle, trying to find Virtue out, but Virtue just keeps himself locked in, and he doesn't need to do any more than that. It's simply his presence right now that is holding Virtus.pro back, and half of the round has been wasted.
And it's jammed. Like, how do you even get inside of the room here? You try and get yourself in, and guess what? You're going to find yourself getting blasted out from behind this mirror window. Sidestep and go for it. The only hope they really have is coming in via Copy, assuming there's no control there, of which I believe there is a C4 plane below Copy, so that's not safe. You could have someone pre-fire the angle whilst another repels in, but then you just risk being shot by Citizen who's playing inside a coffin. This is really rough, and now they've got Rask in a more ideal angle again. Does he really want to step across here when you know there's a pulse playing from below? Probably not.
It's that man again. 3 rounds, 3 opening kills, and 3 of them going to Citizen. Simple as that. Getting his team off on the right foot once again. Now Virtue, they just can't move him at all. Citizen gets a second on the round, and that is now his 7th in the game, Des. This is unbelievable. Virtue from in behind that mirror window finds the kill onto Pasha and shows exactly why that position is so important. And there's a really interesting thing happening previously, Des. And when those Hibana pellets were being cleared off, nice shot from Karjeka there. The Hibana pellets were being cleared off by Kayak from inside of Visa. He was shooting up through the hatch to keep that mirror window in place, and we see why it's so important with Virtue getting an important kill from there, and another round going by the wayside for Virtus.pro here.
It's honestly a beautiful setup coming out of G2. The mute jammer behind the mirror window in the break room, they had no idea how to deal with that. And when they thought, okay, maybe we've got something going here, there's even a mute jammer hanging around inside of near vending behind the reinforced wall. So there's no longer angle to protect it to the top of yellow. And as it closes out, that was one of the, probably, if not the most dominant defense I think I've ever seen of the admin area. And this is coming off the back of seeing Vitality collecting 2 kills from that spot earlier on without a mirror window, without any reinforcements. They just played inside the room itself. But for G2, that is absolutely a setup to go back and analyze. So much to unpack in there. And Virtus.pro, you saw it in their reactions. They were, do we stay and repel? Do we dip off? Do we try something else? It got to about 55 seconds remaining and they were like, guys, we're not going to break this setup now. We need to try something else. And for Karjeka, that was, let's take some gunfights inside of Visa and hope for the best. And guess what? Didn't work out for them.
It was so well played from G2, as you say. The setup was just perfect. Virtus.pro played into it. There was just no real attempt. There was no boots on the ground on yellow stairs. Console office, for example, try sweeping over from the opposite side of the map. There was no attempt to clear Kayak out of Visa. And as I said, he was just shooting that utility off the mirror window to keep that setup in place and allow Virtue to stay where he was. They just sort of got to this brick wall that was that mirror window into admin and just banged their head against it for 3 minutes. And unfortunately, that's never going to do much for you. And G2 looking pretty good right now, Des, with the 2 new players, Hungry and Yonka, both getting in on the action. 3 kills between them. But it's the Citizen show so far. Kayak's done his fair share of work as well, but Citizen on the Mozzie right now is just absolutely terrifying.
Yonka and Hungry are just like, come on, Ben, please. Give us time to shine, man. It's our debut. We've got to show what we're made of here. So the fans can adore us. And he's like, no, sorry, guys. I've got to claim that top spot. Normally you'd see it as Citizen and... please stop, Citizen! Time and time and time again. You should not be able to get away with this.
I'm going to alter my sentence from the start of round 3 slightly, Des, and I'm now going to say 4 rounds, 4 opening kills, and 4 of them have gone to Citizen. He is now just absolutely decimating Virtus.pro in the openings of these rounds. They just can't get established whatsoever. They can't approach the building. There is just absolutely nowhere safe from him right now. And look, once again, Des, how many times have we seen him drop hatches, jump over staircases, and just move around in very quick fashion around the map just to get himself relocated and just attack from another angle? He just never gives them an opportunity. This must be trying to hunt him down must be like trying to nail Jelly to the wall.
It's just not going to happen, is it, mate? Just going to make an absolute mess all over the floor as he's making a mess with the opponents on the other side and all his steps up to not even challenge him, just be in his presence and find themselves, well, scattered all over the floor. Unfortunate. I did think for a second when he was dropping that barbed wire in front of the front lobby door, I was like, little bit risky. If someone's out there waiting on a drone or just waiting to open the door, for example, chances are you're getting sprayed, but gets away with it, walks away with his life once more. No doubt going to be striking a little bit later into the round. Pasha looking to contest his way up through Visa stairs here, up towards meeting. A man to his right, a man directly ahead inside a connector, though, is going to make that a bit of a challenge. And once again, it feels like Virtus.pro are just stalled out. They're not quite sure what to do. The drones were raining in just a second ago to give them more of an idea. But when you're staring up against, again, a mute and a Mozzie denying all this information from you, you're a little bit starved for options when you just can't collect the information to make good decisions.
Virtus.pro just stalling out again and suffering for it. Pasha was on that staircase for a good 30 to 40 seconds there, trying to challenge onto connector, getting absolutely no joy, not being given the angle. G2 are doing very well at not over-peaking things. If he's been caught out there at 5 versus 1, it just doesn't matter. Hungry mops it up. That's the round done. But Pasha just absolutely nowhere to go. Tries to move back down the stairs. Let's try and do something different. Guess who's waiting for him? Citizen. Nice easy kill at the bottom there. And G2, they're looking fantastic right now.
I thought it might be a VP revenge tour, that they'd come back and say, right, after last time round, we played really well, we just couldn't close some rounds, let's get that tightened up and show G2 what we're made of. G2 have just really kind of doubled up on the damage here, it's starting to feel like, and there's some work to do. I was about to say a comment, and just to get it in my ears, I was going to say for Virtus.pro, surely, when you're down 4 rounds on the bounce, you want to call a timeout and have a discussion here. It's now come through. They've got 2 rounds to get this right. This conversation is going to be one of the most important ones that they have all day.
I mean, we're staring down the barrel here of potentially having back-to-back 7-0s. I mean, coming in, you don't want to call it too soon, but right now, Virtus.pro just don't seem to be able to get themselves established in this game at all. There's going to have to be some special words in this tactical timeout to turn this one around.
What I really rate, though, and I know we're looking at Virtus.pro here and saying they're the ones that are struggling, and struggling they are, I will give this to G2. I can't think of too many times where I've seen an attacking team come up against another team in Tier 1 play and look absolutely lost on how to break open a setup. That's coming down massively onto the Mute and the Mozzie. They can't collect the information they need. They're like, well, there's a mirror window, it's got a reinforcement, it's got a mute jammer, it's got also support coming in from below. There's laser gates to stop us just wanging grenades in, for example. Again, just the absolute confusion coming out from the other side is really leaving them in a bit of a state of disarray. And all of that, I will say, is down to G2 and the way that they're playing these rounds, the setups they're bringing. I won't claim to have absolute knowledge of all the setups G2 have brought along to Consulate in the past, but I don't remember seeing setups like this one, especially that one that we saw coming inside of admin. Maybe that's a case of Virtus.pro have over-prepped for the old style of G2, whereas with the changes coming in, they've got some fresh ideas here that they're starting to deploy.
Well, it's certainly worth a mention. You know, new players will bring a new form to the team.
There'll
be new roles being undertaken, and exactly the same thing. You've got 2 players out of 5 changed. That is a big change. It's almost half your roster, and it is going to bring new sort of fresh energy, fresh ideas, and just different ways of doing things. And it makes you difficult to prepare for because, as you say, not everything, but a lot of what has gone before sort of goes out of the window a little bit. And, you know, yeah, you can watch those VODs and get an idea. They've done this before, they've done that before, but you're going to be coming into new things and you just have to adapt and react to that. And it's something that Virtus.pro are struggling with right now on the attack. I think we will see better out of Virtus.pro when these sides flip and they get themselves onto the defence.
Absolutely. Well, let's see if Virtus.pro can buck up their ideas with that discussion they've just had and find an answer to G2. We saw the 6th pick away from the mirror across onto the Mozzie. A little bit of a bait coming out, I imagine, just to put the fear of God, or the fear of Mirror, in this case, into Virtus.pro, who weren't quite sure how to deal with it earlier on. But naturally, Citizen's not going to be taken away from the operator that he is absolutely excelling on. It's been the Mozzie all game long so far, the information denial, the C4 if he wants it, barbed wire a couple of times over as well, making good use of the operator and being nice and mobile around the map. But here, playing behind more denial. Interestingly, by the way, Kayak is normally the go-to Kaid player. Here, he's on the smoke. And Yonka is the one playing on the Kaid instead. I guarantee you didn't get that without a fight against Kayak.
No, I'm sure he didn't. But this is exactly, you know, what we're talking about. You can prepare all you want for old G2. You've got new players, you've got new methods now, and you've got switching roles and switching operators. And so that goes out of the window a little bit now. Pasha, he's going to open up those rear hatches. That'll give an option for a bit of pressure to come in from that rear side here. He's going to just push onto the Visa stairs for the time being. But they really need an opening kill here to Virtus.pro. They need to get themselves that man advantage. They've been fighting off the back foot so consistently so far in this matchup. Now, right now, Citizen is down at the bottom of Spiral. He hasn't made himself sort of get too far out into the map here. He's not going to be too much of a nuisance where he is right now, but they need to be very aware of his movement because if he moves up those spiral stairs and hits them on the flanking piano, it could be good night for round 5.
I mean, look at the setup coming out here. Remember the last round they attacked this site? Ras died early on the thermite and they could do nothing from it. And I commented about this hole coming in inside a bathroom. Same story here. Kayak now dropping out. I thought like in the previous round there was either C4s or smokes to come singing over to deny this. But the objective number 1 for Virtus.pro was get control of piano, get rid of the Kaid Electro claws, and then get the wall opened up. We are at 45 seconds remaining and they still haven't cleared this wall out and they are still losing members. Down goes Karjeka to the Z4. Again, this wall's still electrified. It's got to go. If it doesn't go, they can't open the wall and they find themselves in a similar spot where they're forced to go for some really wonky backstairs attack to try and make this happen.
Clever placement of the Kaid Electroclaw, and one I'm sure that you'll be seeing taken into ranked as well. Very difficult to clear out without the Thatcher. You can't get a direct angle onto it. They've finally got there, so that will be the wall opened up. You've got to do it more from the stage area so you can get the angle down underneath that little area, or use your explosives, use some utility to counter it. But right now, 4 versus 3 as Milon gets himself a second on the round, and Virtus.pro, they're looking in command for the first time here, but completely unaware of Jonka's location. He gets a freebie. He downs another. It's 1 versus 2. Time's running out and G2 win on that basis. There's Jonka does just enough to stop Virtus.pro getting it over the line. And that, I think, is why he's got the Kaid.
I mean, 12 seconds on the clock as the wall finally gets opened up. It's not fast enough. But you could see the fear of playing upstairs when you know the Citizen is running around, potentially hanging around the bottom of Spiral. Had to have someone watching him. One on white watching it. Rask ready to open the wall, leaving two available to actually go and take control of Piano. And take control they do, and then someone gets C4'd off, and suddenly you're left with just one person to do the dirty work of trying to get rid of those Electro Claws. Again, brilliant delay tactics coming out from G2, leaving Virtus.pro struggling in the dying seconds of a round. I would have never said that G2 will walk into this with two roster changes coming in on day one at 5-0, but we said the same about Secret when they were 3-0 up on the defensive clubhouse against Na'Vi earlier on today. What a day it has been to start off the new stage of EUL.
It really has. I mean, it's just absolutely thrown everything into the mix here. There is no predicting these results. They are just a little bit wild at the minute, and I think we're in for a very, very fun stage. We're just going to get a replay on that fantastic Jonker play. You've got to say again, Des, this just, to me, it's very reminiscent. The fact that he was able to do that is very reminiscent of Andreezy running into Citizen at the top of Spiral back in the first round. We commented on it at the time. Just a lack of awareness from Virtus.pro of where these players are, and it's understandable. You commented yourself, 12 seconds when the wall gets opened, you're very limited in time. They're just running in at that point. You just got to throw bodies at it and try and do something, but they were just completely unaware of Jonker's position there, and it got him 2 free kills. He'd already hit a Nitro earlier in the round, which is his second in the game. Jonker is having a great debut so far.
Absolutely is. I mean, between all the team, everyone's pulling their weight so far, it's fair to say.
Yep.
I mean, Virtue has been quiet, but when everyone else is charging around finding the kills, exactly. You haven't got to be the hero maker sometimes. If your teammates are having good games, let them do it, support them however you can. Fair enough. Job is being done. This is another very similar setup out of G2, by the way, minus the mirror. So you're still seeing these laser gates being committed up on the top floor. You've got members playing up there, but there's no mirror to help solidify. So for G2, I think that's at least showing some respect towards VP and saying, look, we ran this before. They're going to have an idea of how to deal with it this time round. Let's not bother and instead bring something else. So you've got Jonker playing on the castle. I didn't see where those barricades went down, but I imagine the vast majority of them are downstairs in the basement.
Right, this time Virtus.pro have got themselves established inside of admin much quicker, and they start opening up some of those vertical angles. Now, let's just hope that they don't stall out this time as they did last time, that they were able to get themselves established inside of admin. Jonker just hiding away at the top of Visa stairs. I'm not sure they're aware. He's missed his opportunity for Pasha, who moves around to Spiral stairs. Milon looks to make the challenge, and they are aware. Andreezy shuts him down. Much better from VP, but look who it is. Citizen manages to get himself one. I commented on how important Virtue has been so far in this game. The kills might not show it, but his contribution has been big. He gets himself a Nitro at a vital time there, which swings the man advantage back in the favour of G2, and he doubles down. He gets a headshot onto Pasha. 4 versus 1 now. G2 are running away with this. It is all theirs on Consulate. They are denying applications left, right and centre from Virtus.pro here. They are not allowing them into the building barely. This is unbelievable from G2.
It's a bit of a different setup, and I love that twice today now we have seen an Oryx used in the first instance, and this time round it's going to be the Aruni. There with the one-hit punch or one charge coming through onto a castle barricade, instantly destroys it so you can take the gunfight, and Citizen, poor guy, couldn't collect his 11th kill because someone else, I believe it was Kayak, had already collected it. You had C4s coming up from below, the longer angles being contested by Citizen. There's just always another layer to this defense coming out of G2, and with 30 seconds to play with nothing but a dream that he might be able to get something for his team in this attacking half, Kajeka once again finds himself staring off against a multi-man stack coming out of G2. Last time round it was 3, this time round it's 4, but they'll be going into the defensive half of this map with that wonderful match point flashing across the screen every single round.
I think we may be honestly on the verge of seeing this here. Des Hungry will shut down Karzeka a number of times. Kajeka has been left as the last man alive in that situation, and there's just so little you can do, even just in normal terms, in a competitive game where two teams are sort of meeting each other's talent and ability in the map. It's still a difficult situation, but where you're going up against 4 members of G2 playing in the fashion that they are right now, it just absolutely doubles that difficulty in that difficult clutch situation. But G2, they close it out. Hungry getting that final kill, puts it on the board. 6-0 now. Virtus.pro, they are... I was going to say they're going to have to climb a mountain, but that doesn't even do this justice, Des.
It doesn't. And I'd be really surprised if G2 can't find one attacking round to go their way. I'll be very surprised, to be honest with you, if it isn't this first one. And you look at this and say, well, realistically, VP are playing a very similar setup to what we saw coming out of G2 on their defensive side. It's the Mutant Mozzie setup, the ADS coming out of the Jaeger for a little bit of support. We saw the Maestro coming through a lot. Karjaka's go-to bread and butter defensive operator. And Andreezy is taking on the role of the smoke. WTG's previous role was playing on the smoke, so not too surprised to see that coming in. But one thing I do want to bring to your attention, both yours, Ace, and those at home, look at the number of frags on the side of Virtus.pro. They have got 10 kills across 6 rounds. That's...
I mean, Citizen's got 10 kills across 6 rounds.
Exactly, mate. One player has got more, well, the same amount as the entirety of the other side. And yes, Citizens had the freedom, but it just goes to show how much VP really struggled in that first half to get any kind of footway into a single round. That's less than 2 kills per round on average. That's just how much they struggled. I'm hoping for their sake there is something to be said for the second half, but keep a very close eye on just how well G2 execute. We commented that in their first game of Stage 1 against Secret, their attacks were impeccable. They were an absolute joy to watch, and I've got no doubt it might turn out the same way for them here. However, losing your Heart Breacher, not a good start to a round, I'm going to say, boys.
Good start for VP. That's exactly what Virtus.pro needed to get them underway. Rask opening things up there. He's been a little bit quiet so far. It's his first kill inside of this game, but it could be an important one, as you say, taking the hard breach off the board. That's going to be the thermite gone, but we have to say that with a word of caution. We're attacking the top floor here, and hard breach isn't really all that essential. It can be useful. There is, of course, the wall above the Visa stairs that can be opened up to give an angle right through into meeting and connector. There's also the wall of long desk can be opened to try and clear out anybody playing inside of meeting. But when it's a yellow stairs push, which seems to be the angle that G2 are mounting to execute from, the hard breach really won't be the end of the world. Now, Rask, he just does see a sliver of Citizen as he moves across the doorway there, but won't be able to take the shot. He wouldn't have got the kill had he done, and Citizen just escapes to continue fighting in this round.
I agree with you about the thermite not necessarily being the most painful thing to lose for this site anyway. If it was downstairs, very different story.
Oh,
but in
terrible,
this round, 100%. But at least in this round, it's not world-ending for them. What could be is how efficiently they move with the time. You can see, by the way, I know we spoke about this quite a bit yesterday, maybe not so much today. You can, of course, see what dead members now are looking at. Kayak, bless him, has not moved away from a drone all round long. Where normally you see players like toggling through their teammates, say, oh, what's he looking at right now? What's going on? See what extra info I can provide. He's sat on the drone pretty much all round so far. Rask with a great vertical kill. The painful thing being, they knew he was around here as well, just didn't expect him to step back into that spot as Hungry looks across at exactly the wrong moment.
I love that from Rask. That's straight out of Latam, is that type of kill. Pino, an absolute demon of just playing prone underneath the windows and getting kills exactly like that. And nice to see those little maneuvers transferring from region to region. It was something that was suggested before we got in here. You know, Virtus.pro will have no doubt been scrimming those Latin American teams through SI, given that they weren't able to compete. It's a good opportunity to play top-level opponents without giving anything away for the tournament. So maybe something that's been picked up there, but it was beautifully worked nonetheless. 4 versus 3 now. Virtus.pro have an advantage, but it's ripped away from them by Virtudez as he finds a kill onto Andreezy inside of that difficult meeting position. Tries to use a nade to clear out a man or the Maestro, but he won't get any joy on either. 3 kills come in quick succession for Virtus.pro, and they managed to get their first round on the defense, where I did think they might just have a little bit more success, but there's a long way to go yet.
There absolutely is. And for G2 there, I think as soon as you lose the early man, we know we said the thermite in particular wasn't the biggest loss in the world, but the loss of a man is still going to sting a little bit. To then lose a second to that vertical angle coming out of Rask, you're in a 5 versus 3. You're up against it at that point. It's really hard to swing anything back, and I imagine, given there was a thermite picked in the previous round, G2 were expecting to start in the basement. That's very commonly where you'll see that brought along here. It's going to return once more. The big question for me then stands, is there going to be a Kai coming out on the side of Virtus.pro? Looks like the answer will be no. You still need to get yourself upstairs, ideally, to deal with the mute jammers on the wall, but you do also have the option of just rolling some frag grenades in through the drone hole to the left of the wall. And before you know it, guess what? You've got a wall to open up, and you're going to be doing it in much quicker time than Virtus.pro did. Again, not forgetting, they had 12 seconds left on the clock when they got the wall open last time round.
Looking back at Stage 1 and this matchup, Des, we spoke about it from Playday 2. Citizen ended on 16 kills that day. Interesting.
Score was a little bit higher than this, though, admittedly.
That's the thing. He did have 11 rounds to get those 16 kills, so he's still got time yet. There are still at least one round left. It'll tick by each time, depending if Virtus.pro gets wins or not. But Citizen right now would need to ace to level that total, but we will give him a little bit of an allowance that it would be finished inside of 8 rounds instead of 11. So we head into the action phase then for round number 8. Of course, still match point for G2. We're in a best of 12, so the first to 7 will win. Virtus.pro have no mistakes to make here. They have to get themselves back to 6-all to take it into overtime. And right now, that does feel like a big ask, but they certainly looked a little bit more solid on the defense. So they need to really double down on that now, get another round on the board and let G2 know that they're in for a game.
Absolutely. We'll see how it plays out from here. Again, the absolute beauty of a Zero. We saw a couple of teams making great use of it at the 6th Invitation. I believe Dark Zero, one that really jumped to mind when I think about their play on maps like Chalet. It may have been TSM. It was one of the NA teams either way. Just having it set up in particular corners of rooms where you can see long hallways. They had full coverage of basically of the top floor of the map thanks to the Zero. So I'm keen to see exactly how Yonka opts to use it here. We saw the first one coming out already to give a little bit of information, but it's going to really come into its own, I think, when we start thinking about the execute and the angles that it can cover, the flanks that it can watch for them. So we always speak about those flank drones, so pivotal to have.
Pasha just managing to wriggle away from a very dangerous situation there, but Rask, he will not be able to do the same as Hungry shuts him down. We saw him have that great round last time out, managed to get those nice kills, but not able to contribute this time for Virtus.pro. 5 versus 4, G2 get themselves the opener and get themselves the man advantage, and everything just slows down for them a little bit. They're going to get back into their drones. We can see 3 members at that point in time were on the drones. Citizen and Virtue still actively searching for any information that they can get. They've obviously got the SAM cams out from Jonker as well, so they're just building a picture right now, trying to locate these Virtus.pro defenders and trying to just put them into as difficult a position as possible. Coming in towards the final minute now, G2, they're going to be looking to get themselves into a position to execute very soon.
I was thinking a moment ago, Pasha, I was going to say, surely you saw that coming from above, but 2 fall in quick succession, both, well, one going the way of Hungry, after his earlier opening kill, cuts him onto a double in the round. Milon and Andres are going to start sweating a little bit now, I imagine. It's the Maestro and the Mirror, all the M's to try and stop the L coming through here as well. Looking at the grenades on the side of, say, Virtue, they've got a lot still to throw at them. The kitchen sink and then some. The best way to describe it. The wall finally going to get it opened up here, and now we can start thinking about this plant coming in as the defenders force slightly further back here inside a cafeteria and inside a security office.
Andrezi just trying to hold that angle out onto yellow stairs for the time being, also using his mirror window. Now he sees the man come down, tries to make a challenge, will not be successful, and Milon, I think, just shot out the Gemini there, so that is just again more information being gathered. That was what we saw move down the stairs. Andrezi does find Jonker, so that's a great start for Virtus.pro. 4 versus 2 though. Kayak's going to have the opportunity to get this down. I think the Maestro cam was too late in, but Kayak does have to drop off it. He will start planting again though. It doesn't matter. Citizen comes in round the back there, finds himself a double, closes it out, and it's all smiles for G2 as they close out a big first win for their new look roster.
Feels like such a standard thing to be saying, but so much of that on the back of Citizen as well. Absolutely terrorizing VP in the first half with those entries. Can't wait to see what his final stat line looks like. But for G2, it's a great start. As you mentioned, 2 big changes coming in. So far, full of promise.
13 kills for Citizen. Unbelievable game for him, and that is inside of 8 rounds there. What a performance from G2, Des. There was questions being asked, obviously, changes within the roster. It's certainly looking good at this point.
VP haven't made any massive changes, but there will be question marks around what they can do to change it out next time, because as I commented in the game, I've never seen a team look so lost at a couple of the strats coming out of G2. But that's all for this game for now. Let's go back to the desk and get their thoughts on how this one played out.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. It seems like our teams today are very eager to give us a quick night of EUL on our first play day of the second stage. Stein.
Yes.
It's a G2 win here today.
Yeah, and I don't think you can say this was a lucky win today. G2 absolutely played pretty well, and Jess, you said it. It was chaos every single time.
It really was.
But it was controlled chaos from G2's side. And that is the beauty of it. If you can control the chaos, you see VP, they were struggling. They were not able to get, sometimes they weren't even able to get further than admin because they were being picked apart from below, from the side, from above, everywhere you can imagine.
It was really good from G2 as well, and I want to kind of drag on that point because they had a really nice balance with this new roster of people who were sitting on cams for 90% of the round and others who were acting on that intel. You can't have one two-sided. Remember when they brought in the super team and everyone was trying to be the gunner, everyone was trying to be the Jaeger main?
Yeah. That's
too one-sided. They worked out that that didn't work. They brought in a bit more of that, you know, balanced support, flex support, and then they've got the fraggers to play off of. That is a nice, nice balance. And I'm actually really sad that they didn't get the 7-0 because they kind of deserved it with that performance.
I remember that one round where we were talking about it. It was the one man that was left inside of admin, 4 people challenging him, and I'm like, look at that one guy. He's just all the way off on the other side of the map, and it was like...
He was on cams, yeah.
You said specifically he's in Narnia.
He's in
He
Narnia,
was in Narnia.
but it was like, even if everybody dies, he's like, well, I'm all the way on the other side of the map, so we're going to win on the base of time. So it's going to literally be an easy win in that case for that round.
That last round got very close to it with the Maestro. We're all looking at it like,
That was strange.
plant.
Plant.
Do it.
And he had about, I'm going to say about 45 HP when he got off the plant as he
Like
dipped
30-ish,
off.
but yeah.
Yeah. And
So
I thought to
no,
myself,
you're good
why
to
did
go.
you get off the plant? I mean, it's only, you know, the 5 zaps. Anyway,
KD,
nevertheless, I think what they really wanted to do was make sure that once he got off replaced closer to the tire, players could push up and harass that Maestro player so that the plant could go down because time wasn't on their side. So that's really all that was. But if we go just sort of going to the how this match occurred here today, a lot of confidence in the new G2 roster. You and I were so impressed with what they put on the board today. I'm a big VP fan. Anyone who knows me knows I love VP. Today, part of my heart is gone.
We put it in the pie that Em was talking about earlier
the heart
today.
pie.
But, you know, it's easy to point at Hungry with his performance today.
Beautiful.
Great. Obviously, like we know Hungry is a great player,
Yep.
right? I think the person I want to talk about is Yonka because for a lot of people, it's not someone that they know in high-tier competitive Siege. Steps in on this more supportive spot where, especially on the attack, is running the 0. He's giving the information. And, as you both talked about, this was the strong point of G2 in this game. They kept clapping VP wherever they went because they knew where they are. They could just single them out, Z-ping, get a kill, you're done.
Yeah.
Send Citizen in.
Usually, yes.
Away, you know,
He was everywhere.
He was everywhere. Like, at some point, he's up on the top floor because they have that information. They know also what's clear. He gets the kill, rotates around, and, you know, 20 seconds later, you find him shooting you through a hatch, and then suddenly he's above again, you know? Like, he continues rotating around, and I can only imagine how annoying it is to play against a player like that. I literally said in round number 2 against you, how do you play against Citizen?
Yeah, how do you play
How do
against
you
the
play
man
against
who's
Citizen?
everywhere? He's
Like
just
he has
everywhere.
a teleporter. Like, we came to the studio.
Yeah.
He's just everywhere.
Mind you, if we're talking about G2, let's talk about Hungry just for a quick second.
ahead,
You and I
please.
specifically talked about how he was changing a lot of operators and roles. I think it's a little map dependent, so I'm not going to say that this will spread across all maps, but I do like how Hungry would play the Maestro. And then he went, oh no, next round, because we're on a different side, I'm going to play the Jaeger. And then I'm going to play something else. Whilst Kayak stayed really solid on that supportive role, and we had other players like Citizen staying on their frag role, it was nice to have a little bit of a versatile player coming in, a very experienced player coming in. And as the match summary comes up, it goes to show 100% cost per. I mean, when the man runs around, like as you said, teleports around. My apologies, I'll get the right verbiage there for you.
He doesn't need legs.
Yeah, he doesn't need legs, he just teleports. He got the 100% cost, a complete flawless entry, but a little bit more important to that, if you go to the cost of every single G2 player there, both Yonka and Hungry, who have just joined the team, have a very, very high cost. That is hard to do on the very first playday in a new team.
And it's not just, as you say, looking at your kill-death ratio. It doesn't tell you the whole story. Yes, this is a competitive shooter, but at the same time, cost is what tells you it's kills.
Correct.
You have kills, objectives, survivals, trades. Like, these things are very important in this case, and if it is that high at 80+%, it means you're contributing to every single round in one way, shape, or form. Yes, Hap.
I was just saying, we didn't see the Flores coming out from G2.
Well, you were very disappointed, actually.
Yeah, I was wondering because we
Is
saw...
it because of the 0?
I think it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's different kinds of setup. Flores is really, I think, focused towards removing utility and removing players, whereas 0, of course, gives the opportunity to set up extra flank watch, to set up extra information and make sure that you can just push these players as you wish.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame, and I think it's map dependent again.
Yeah, it could be map dependent.
I do think that on a different map, we will absolutely see Flores from them. But I like that they're bringing Zero, especially on Consulate, and with the Nomad ban, there's just so much you can do.
Underpicked, underplayed operator, if you ask me, especially if you went back and were watching TSM during Invitational. Chala, definitely the best Zero right now in the world, and the way that he plays it meshes well with TSM. Something to learn from North America. Yeah, I'm sorry to say it. This is... I'm saying.
Can you believe we're learning intel from North America?
It's also to learn from Latam at some point.
I mean, understandable.
What happened?
World champions.
We used to be the top of the world, and now we're
now we
here.
suck. What happened?
There's too many British people in the league, and that kind of explains everything.
We need the Finns back.
Maybe one day. It's time for our interview, though. We got Citizen, our resident Brit, for this interview. Citizen, hello, my friend. Congratulations on a very, very powerful victory today against VP.
Thank you, Milos. Feels good to win again.
It really does. I'm sure about that. They've had obviously changes on your team. You brought in Yonka and you've brought in Hungry. Can you please talk to me a bit about the role that you expect them to fill in the team, and that what we are supposed to learn from that?
Well, we basically brought these two guys in because we needed like flex and support players instead of like just fraggers. I think that's the thing that slowed us down. Obviously, it worked well sometimes, but not all the time. So we felt like we needed a change. We needed this flexibility and allow like each other to enable each other. Because we were struggling. Like sometimes we couldn't play this up, sometimes we couldn't play that. Can't do this, can't do that. So yeah, just get two flexible guys in that can take up them roles and work perfectly.
So in terms of Hungry, for example, a lot of us know Hungry as this person who used to play a lot of Smoke, a lot of Ying for the viewers that have been watching in the olden days. We saw him switching between so many different operators in this game. Is this something we're supposed to expect from Hungry in this role in the future?
But yeah, we picked him up because he's a flexible guy, and he did exactly that today. Like, we ask him to play something, he just says, yeah, no question asked, no matter how bad it is.
So do you expect him to be taking some of those operators that none of you want to take? And as a result, do you think that we'll see him playing some funky little operators on different maps? Is that what we can expect?
Yeah, definitely. Same with Yonka. Like, sometimes me and Jake, it's just like, I think we'd be better on the Mozzie Jaeger. You take the Cade and you take the Mute.
Mom said it's my turn on the Jaeger.
Yeah.
All right, one question. You guys seem to be preferring Zero a lot. Now, we've seen other teams play Flores, for example, but Zero, can you say anything about that? Or is that, will Shaz be mad if you do? I would understand if that's the case.
Nah.
But
it's just consular, isn't it? Like, if Nomad's banned, then you need something to hold your flanks with. So what other operator would you choose other than Zero?
Brilliant.
Fair enough. We've learned a lot through Invitational, through watching TSM, especially playing the operator. So yeah, it's good to see him also incorporated in your strategies. I believe an underplayed operator in general. Citizen, a very, again, handed victory today against Virtus.pro. Honestly, it really is a really big one. Now, next week you get to play against Na'Vi, your ex-teammates, your ex-org, and for them, they lost today. It was a big loss against Team Secret. Anything you would like to say to them for that match coming up?
Well, I mean, the Secret effect has obviously took place, so once they lose the Secret, they're going to lose all their other games, so hopefully they'll lose to us as well,
Unfortunate events. This is the moment that you're supposed to clip right now. Citizen, anything you'd like to say to all the fans out there?
I'd just like to say thank you for your ongoing support, like stressful times and that, and sticking by us. But it's always good to see that you guys support us, and we always enjoy seeing that you love watching us, what we do, and hope to bring more W's home.
All right, Citizen, congratulations again. We'll see you on our next Playday against Na'Vi. That's going to be a pretty sweet one, I can bet. Till then, good night. Bye-bye.
Definitely. See you later.